Yes. So it's really important as a manager, I think, to be able to ask if your people are okay and to be able to actually listen to them when they answer that question.
Absolutely. And I think this is fundamental. You know, as I said, I say many times, you're a human being first, you're a manager second, because you probably answer to lots of different names. You might answer to mum or dad or, you know, all sorts of other things too. First and foremost, you're a human being. And as human beings, you know, we need connection with other human beings now more than ever. And it's just about being human. You know, you don't have to be a psychiatrist, a psychologist, a therapist. You don't even have to be a mental health first aider. I do have that qualification myself, but first and foremost, I'm human. And it's you know, you don't have to solve the problem. Just ask. Just ask. How's it going?
Yeah, so that brings me to something that actually it worries me a bit. And I've worked with people who have been really anxious about it. I remember a particular colleague of mine who found it, you know, it would stop him from asking the question. And what we worry about is what happens if the other person gets upset and this is a work situation that feels really uncomfortable. How can I deal with that?
And again, I think the important thing is, you know, you don't have to solve somebody else's problem. You're not responsible for it, unless you are, of course, that's a different conversation. But you know, you don't have to solve it for them. And I know sometimes, you know, people sort of say, oh, I don't want to ask about so and so because that'll upset them because I know that person's ill, or perhaps they've lost somebody in COVID. The point is, you're not going to remind them. They're going to know, they're going to have that person or that situation forefront in their minds at all times, 24/7. You're not going to be reminding them of something that they'd forgotten. What you are going to do is build connection and just show compassion and just make it okay. You know, make it okay for tears, make it okay for silence, make it okay for anger even. I think if you can just let yourself free from that thought that I have to somehow solve it or I've got to have the right answers. You know, when I went through my breast cancer for the first time, I remember people saying, I don't know what to say. Some people would cross the street not to have to say anything, but some people would just say, I really don't know what to say. And actually that's great, because that allows the person themselves to divulge as much or as little as they want to. It's showing that, well, you know, at least you've had the courage, if you like, the bravery to make eye contact and make connection and talk.
Yeah. So I suppose it sounds like letting go of the feeling that there has to be a specific outcome, that we have to, you know, I have to kind of, as a manager, have to somehow control the conversation or the outcome so that we're both happy at the end of it. If I let go of that, then
absolutely, it's not your gig to solve, if that makes sense. It's not your thing to solve. All you need to do is be human, and reach out and just ask how things are going. One of the things I learned actually in my training, and I've done a lot of training over the years, but specifically the mental health first aider training, which was very interesting, is ask twice. That concept of, you know, you ask the first time, somebody says I'm fine, and they're trying to hold it together, and you ask twice, because that really does show, you know, I'm here, I'm ready for whatever, you know, comes my way. Yeah. It's okay to not be okay.
Yeah, I think that point about it's okay to not be okay, that's certainly what, you know, that's what I want when I go to somebody else or need to talk about something, is that if I'm upset or if I'm not coping, then the world isn't going to fall down around me.
No, and the other person, that, you know, doesn't have to have that pressure. That almost puts pressure on the individual to think, oh, that person thinks they need to solve it. The point is, if you're asking somebody how they are and they've got, you know, problems going on, or they're not coping very well with the current situation, that's happening for them anyway. You're not going to swan in and be able to solve that for them. They've been dealing with that for a while. And what you might be able to do is get them thinking about the what ifs, or if only I could do X, Y, and Z. And that, you know, that might be within your gift to be able to solve. If only I could start work a bit later in the mornings, and then I could get the kids started with homeschooling or whatever the situation might be. If only I could have a bit more flexibility. And that might be within your gift to solve. That might actually be quite an easy solution. But you know, that it's not your job to solve somebody else's issue or the way that they're dealing with things at the moment.
No, that, and I think that's the thing to hold, isn't it? So thank you, Diana. That's really useful. And for anyone who's watching this video, if you find it useful, let us know and share it with anybody else who you think might also find it helpful to have a bit of advice and not feel that it's all on their shoulders as the manager.
And tears is good, by the way. If somebody, you know, trusts you enough to let go, that's great. You don't have to solve it. If you're in a room with somebody, you might have some tissues, but even that's unlikely these days. So you don't even have to provide the tissues. It's okay. It's their reaction. Let them own it.